15 years, blowing the doors off the competition. Podcasting to planet Earth.
PNRNetworks.com.
This podcast is a member of the Blueberry Network. Blueberry. No E's. That's Blueberry, BLUBRRY.com. Blueberry.com.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
This is a Class 1 emergency. All civilian traffic is barred from streets and highways. Stay in your homes. Stay in your homes. Stay in your homes. Repeat, this is a Class 1 emergency. All civilian traffic is barred from streets and highways.
Do not panic. Do not panic. We've got the quirky films for your quarantine blues. Subject Cinema presents Captive Audience Theater with T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown.
You know what, hon?
What?
There's no bad movies that we can't cover on this show.
Get ready for a blizzard of bad jokes, folks.
Welcome to Subject Cinema presents Captive Audience Theater. I'm T.C. Kirkham.
Hi, I'm Kim Brown.
And we've done horror films the last 2 or 3 times. We've decided to go into my area of expertise with one of the worst disaster films ever made. Kim has suffered through it twice.
Yeah.
I've seen it more than that. And
I deserve a cookie or a hug or both.
How about a snow cone?
No.
As we head back to 1978,
just chill out, okay?
At the time, the disaster movie were kind of slowly dying at the box office.
Yeah, we need to explain a few things before we get started. As people who have listened to all our shows,
we've done some of these films that we're going to be doing on this show before, so we've done this one
hopefully, hopefully you'll listen to some of them that you haven't heard before, just to let you in on a little bit more about TC and I and the type of people that we are, so you know who you're letting into your house. I'm more of a horror sci-fi person, mysteries and things like that too. And TC, out of the two of us, is the disaster movie junkie.
I actually have a show called Catastrophe Vortex that will return in May, and
it was about things falling down,
movies.
Burning up, and going boom.
Because I have been a fan of them since I was a preteen.
Yeah. So he's seen all of the good ones and the bad ones and
the ugly ones
and the flat out dreck.
And this is
guess where this falls into
1978's Avalanche.
Oh my gosh!
From Roger Corman's New World Pictures. Starring amazingly, it had an all-star cast at the time, including Rock Hudson, Mia Farrow, Robert Forrester, Jeanette Nolan, Rick Moses, and a few other character actors too, like Steve Franken, Barry Primus, Jerry Douglas. You'd know their faces if you saw them.
Yeah, it's full of a lot of, hey, it's that guy.
Yeah,
people.
and Rock Hudson doing his best Liberace imitation throughout most of this film. It was,
You keep saying that.
I just felt, what I've seen of the different types of TV movies that they did about Liberace after he passed on TV, this was the kind of behavior he had, and this is the kind of, how they captured his problems and his anger and stuff, and Rock was channeling that when he did these.
See, to me, when I watched this film with you, I'm sorry.
She's seen both versions. She's seen the unedited version, and she's seen the version that was on season 1 of Mystery Science Theater 3000: The Return on Netflix. Mm-hmm. So it's.
I'm sorry. When we saw this, all I could think was, "Good grief, he's channeling Vince McMahon."
Well, there's that too.
How is he doing that?
He's Vince McMahon's personality and Liberace's style.
Yeah, okay. That's fair.
Hey, that's fair. Liberace did WrestleMania one year. I mean,
yeah, that's the first one, actually. So, there's that. Okay, so...
Obviously, Avalanche, the disaster is right there in the title.
Yeah, there's no, build up to it or anything like that. It's right there in your face. It's an avalanche. So you can't really accuse anybody of spoiling this film. If they ask you what it's about, you go, an avalanche. Why don't you talk about the plot of this, because you made me...
do the plots and I do the commentary.
Okay. This film takes place in at this brand new resort. It's actually not even open yet, right?
It's coming to the grand opening that weekend.
Yeah,
yes.
It's going to be opening, and it's this big opulent, resort up in the mountains. And of course you also have to figure this is opulent for 70s opulence. Mm-hmm. So look out.
Really over the top.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so much polyester. Oh gosh, it hurt. So the thing is, this big resort is being built almost directly underneath this great big mountain.
Well, this is where you put ski resorts.
Yeah, well, you don't.
I mean, that makes sense, but the problem is
you don't usually put them directly under the mountain. You usually put them near the mountain. You have to go to the mountain. It's not like right at the foot of the frickin' mountain. Usually, is it?
Most of them are. Yes, they're on the side of a mountain.
Well, they're not usually.
How are they going to ski down something that isn't there?
No, I'm saying you have it a little bit away from the mountain. You don't have it
Maybe. We don't do winter sports, so we really don't know how that operates.
No, we're not one of those 1%ers that can go off to Aspen.
Now,
and
that's
all that
not
stuff,
nice. Now, stop that.
So anyway, David Shelby is the person that, is the money behind this. David is a complete type A alpha male jerk-off who is, one of these men that's all like, I'm a man and I'm determined to put my mark on the world because it's an extension of my...
He's a control freak.
He's a complete control freak. Good grief. And they've put this big opulent ski resort at the foot of this mountain before anybody bothered to check to make sure that this might be, safe.
Well, they checked, but he's trying to give and take with the environmental people who are worried about animals and stuff in the area. Oh, those poor animals. He could care less as a construction person.
To borrow a line from TV Tropes, another site that I'm hopelessly addicted to, screw the rules, I have money. That's basically David's attitude. So they have built this place, and there's going to be this big, big opening. It's very, there's going to be local media, blah, blah, blah. There's going to be a big tournament for skiers, and there's going to be a big figure skating contest. And there are all these people that have been invited to the opening of of this ski resort as the special guests and stuff like that. One of them being a ski champion who's very well known, named Bruce. And also there's these two figure skaters they're like the Nancy Kerrigan, Tonya Harding of the time, without all of the other stuff that we're not going to talk about. And also other people that are there. One of the people that is invited to this is David's mother, Florence, who is a pip.
That's one way to put it, yeah.
She's what they used to call a sexy senior citizen. Go ask your parents. The thing is, also invited, and this is a little bit awkward. I'm sorry, this is kind of awkward.
Not really. They've stayed friends.
Sort of. Are they divorced?
Yes.
They are divorced. Okay. I'm trying to remember. I couldn't remember if they were divorced or about to be divorced. So David's ex-wife, very recent ex-wife, Caroline, has also been invited. Caroline is a reporter for a magazine, and
he wants the best coverage possible.
Yes.
And expects her to give him exactly what he wants.
Yeah. And he also wants her back as, to be...
Mrs. David.
Yeah, he wants to rekindle the romance that they must have had at some point because she married him. I'm putting that down to temporary brain damage. So, the thing is, David, like I said before, screw the rules, I have money. The whole thing about David is that this place where he wanted to put the resort, which is, very beautiful and stuff like that, it's dangerous. Where he
is prone to heavy avalanches.
Yeah. Guess what happens? A heavy avalanche. Surprise!
Well,
eventually.
Yeah, it happens because during all this stuff and all the festivities, David's business partner is flying up to have him help, sign things and do all this other stuff while he's fighting with the environmentalist guy. And the visibility's terrible because the snow's coming down like crazy and the plane runs right into the mountain, triggering a large avalanche that hits the ski resort full on.
Yes.
In the middle of the ski tournament.
Yeah. So a whole bunch of people get killed. A whole bunch of people in the town nearby get killed because it causes a big panic and it's just complete. I'm like, there's one point where an ambulance I don't know what the hell happened with the ambulance, that it drove into a building and then it just exploded. I'm like, what? The snow's not even near you. What the hell? So since this is a disaster movie, of course, let's be honest, nobody sits there and watches a disaster movie for plot development and the characters. You're all sitting there waiting for something to go wrong and to see people get killed. You have to wait a long-ass time in this film for that to happen. But when it does happen, Katie bar the door, everybody dies. I mean, absolutely everybody.
Not everybody. Everybody that you like.
Everybody you like dies.
The one decent person helps a kid escape the avalanche only to get electrocuted by the wires falling on him.
Yeah.
I'm like, thank you, movie.
Yeah.
That's just like, honestly.
You see kids in danger. You see innocent people in danger. You see all these people who've...
Well, that's what a disaster movie is, honey.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just
Remember all those running, screaming people we watched when you watched San Andreas with me a few weeks ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. No, it's just... Oh my gosh, this movie. Unfortunately, at the end of the movie, David is one of the people that survives. Which is
Caroline.
Yeah, which is aggravating.
Won't go on any further than that. We don't want to give it away.
Yeah, we don't want to give everything away, but suffice it to say, the avalanche does occur, but boy, you have to wait for it. And when it finally does occur, it's like, okay, you pretty much can tell who's going to die by the end of this. The only thing this film doesn't have is a cop who's a week away from retirement. Or, some newlywed.
No, they replace him with the environmentalist guy.
Yeah. Or some newlywed that's just found out that his wife is pregnant or something like that. But oh man. Okay, why don't you go over the cast?
Rock Hudson as David Shelby, Mia Farrow as Caroline Brace, Robert Forster as Nick Thorne, the environmentalist guy, Jeanette Nolan in a scene-stealing turn as Rock Hudson's character's mother, Florence Shelby, Rick Moses as ski expert Bruce Scott, plus character actors Stephen Franken, Barry Primus, Kathy Payne, Jerry Douglas, Anthony Carbone, and X-Brands? I'm not sure who that is. This thing was released by New Line Cinema. It was one of Roger Corman's last big expensive projects because it bombed at the box office. What a shock.
Yeah.
As I said, disaster movies were on the way out at that time. Mm-hmm. They had hit their peak in the mid-'70s with hits like Earthquake and the Towering Inferno, and Airport 77 barely made any money. And then this came along, Meteor, the Concorde, When Time Ran Out, and they were just getting worse and worse. We've talked about them on Catastrophe Vortex. If you want to go over and check with me on that show, it's catastrophevortex.com. New season starts May 18th. It is... the special effects aren't even that good because it's a Corman movie. They're not bad for what they've done here, but the storylines. Rock Hudson, God love him, he was a great actor who was a top leading man in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Was capable of doing comedy. Was capable of doing action. He had a hit series for years called Macmillan and Wife, which ran on NBC in the 70s, which my mother adored. Vince McMahon and Liberace, if they had a kid. it's like, okay, this is just like, what?
The thing is, he's so unlikable.
Yeah, he's thoroughly unlikable.
A film lives or dies by its characters, I think.
I wonder if people like to yawn around him.
Really? You really had to go there.
Yes.
Yeah, you
anyway.
did. Yeah, I know.
Wrestling fans will get that. Anyway.
But would you agree with that?
What?
That a film lives or dies around its characters.
Yeah.
You can have...
There isn't a single likable character among the leads. I mean...
You can have a film that has the most amazing special effects, and trust me, this film does not do that.
No.
But if you have a film that has amazing special effects, but you don't care what happens to anybody in that film, you have a problem on your hands.
The only one that you end up caring about is Barry Primus's character, Mark Elliott, who's a TV anchor, and he's a really nice guy, and he's so over his head talking to these people, and because he's a very polite person, and then complete opposite of the Larry Storch TV guy from Airport 75,
right?
And like I said aforementioned, he does bite the dust. A selfless act, of course. So,
right.
It's like he's the only likable character in the entire film.
Well,
Mia Farrow and Robert Forster are sort of okay. She's kind of whiny. He's kind of preachy. But together they work well. That's all I can say. Neither one of them come anywhere close to the unlikability of both Rock and his mother.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not that she's a bad person.
No, she's
not. She's not a bad person. She's just pushy. Yeah, she's just a pushy mom type character. Doesn't deserve the fate that she gets at all. But seriously, when you have a film especially when you have a film where the characters are going to be in serious mortal peril, you need somebody to care about. If you don't have that, especially in a disaster movie, you have a problem.
You have a big bomb on your hands.
And then you wind up with a movie like this.
Yeah. It was released on August 30th, 1978, and was promptly crashed and burned at the box office, or practically got rolled over.
As well as it should have.
Ran into an avalanche of bad press.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And didn't do well at all.
It was the winter of their discontent.
Oh, jeez.
I was just trying to inject some class into this. Sorry. Sorry to all you Shakespeare fans out there.
You can see both versions for free. The original version, Avalanche, is available on Amazon Prime Video if you're a member, also on Shout Factory TV. The Mistied version from season 1 of The Return with I've forgotten his name.
Jonah. Yep.
Jonah what? I've forgotten the name.
I have it right in front of me. I'm sorry. I didn't know I needed it. Okay.
I know. I've totally forgotten what it was. With Jonah and the bots on the new version. Is on Mystery Science Theater 3000 The Return on Netflix, and you can check that one out, which I would highly recommend.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because I mean, it makes it less painful. Although it is so bad, it's hilarious in places. So I mean, I'm a disaster movie person. I first saw this.
Jonah Heston.
Jonah Heston
is the character played by Jonah Ray.
Jonah Ray. I couldn't think of his name. This is I saw this on cable for the first time in 81, 82. And I've seen it probably a dozen times since then because it's just so bad. It's hilarious. And I mean, it's in places. It's just so funny. And Missy helps it out too.
Yeah. So. It does have an advantage over a lot of other disaster movies though. I think, and you'll grant me this. One of the things about a lot of disaster movies that's a big problem is that you have a disaster movie and you sit there and you're like, that can't happen. Or that can't happen that way. Whatever it is. And sometimes you have somebody like super smart telling you that it can't happen. Somebody like Kyle Hill. Hi, Kyle.
Or that it can happen, as we saw recently on a YouTube video where they're asking experts about disaster movies, and they said that the Twister scene with the cows is perfectly logical.
Right. I still say
Which
the end.
The end of it. Yeah, they didn't
I still say the end of that movie is complete bollocks.
But they said Twister was the most realistic of the recent disaster films, which I thought was interesting.
That one scene.
Well, no, they said the whole movie was the most realistic of all the disaster films.
But some disaster film, like one of the films that you love, San Andreas. I mean, there is no way that film could happen the way.
Let me couch that. It's one of the films I love because it's just fun. The physics are completely impossible.
Right.
It's Dwayne Johnson having all kinds of fun. What else can you,
Right.
And it made me a huge fan of Art Parkinson, too. I didn't realize he was on Game of Thrones at the time, but it's like, wow.
Right. But that's the one thing about this film. You can watch this film and go, yeah, I could see that happening. Avalanches do happen. They happen all the time.
Yeah.
And they happen just like they happen in this film. Not to the almost biblical amount of damage that gets caused in this film. But they do happen.
Yeah.
It's not like, if you want to talk about like a good disaster movie, obviously you would be more expert about that. But I know 2 disaster movies that you love that weren't from America and didn't cost $70 billion to make.
I love the 2 movies from Norway.
Yeah.
The Wave, Bulgen from 2016, and The Quake, its sequel, 2018. Wonderful films. Executed well, lots of terrific characterization, and both of them shot on a Hollywood scale for under $10 million apiece. They were terrific. They're the best disaster movies of the last 20 years.
See, I haven't seen them because, like I said, disaster movies.
She bought both of them for me on Blu-ray.
They're not
Christmas.
they're not my bag.
And the characterizations. That's the problem with today's disaster movies. You don't really find characters that you like. 2012 is a good example, which you've seen parts of. You're supposed to. John Cusack's character is the lead, and Chiwetel Ejiofor too. But there's also all these peripheral characters, and you really don't have time to get to know any of them to really like them. In Earthquake, you're back in the 70s, you got to know Chuck Heston's character, Ava Gardner's character, Geneviève Bujold's character, even a little bit from George Kennedy and Marja Gortner and Victoria Principal in that ridiculous wig. It's easy to know how you feel about it. And these new movies don't give you time to develop. San Andreas is the one exception where you really develop this story for Dwayne Johnson's character. That's terrific.
And that falls back into what I said.
Yeah.
A film like this lives or dies
on a likable character.
Yeah, at least
a believable, likable character.
Yeah. You need one character that you're going to be like, oh man, I hope they lived to the end of this movie. This movie, I didn't care who died. Yeah. Other than the whole thing of the child in danger, I was like, "Thank you, movie," because that's the one thing. That's a trigger. I admit that.
She really hated this film the first time we watched it. I don't like the Misties.
No, I don't like movies where there's kids or animals.
She's not a big disaster fan anyway, but she's seen the classics. We watched The Towering Inferno, which she liked.
Yeah, I did.
You actually liked San Andreas when we watched it together, and
part of it was because of watching Owen Gruffudd get smushed by a
he gets smushed. He's kind of the marginal bad guy, and although you don't like it, you don't have a problem with Airport. I still think Airport's getting critically reviewed lately, and they seem to really be downsizing it, which I still think it's a top-notch film. Well written, well acted. You hate Dean Martin's character, I know.
Yeah.
But it's still a great movie. And you don't get that with Avalanche. There's nothing there. You cannot care about these characters.
No, you can't.
You just can't. And that's one of the reasons why it bombed.
Yep, so let's categorize this.
Oh, yes, for what are we calling this? Audience theater.
Yeah, captive audience theater. We decided that every film is going to get cataloged in our category of terrible films, and this one is going to fall under the category of jumping on the bandwagon and missing by that much.
Missing by that much, I would think, not the Don Adams that much, like an arm.
This
wide
was
full.
like you mentioned. This was at the wane of the disaster movies, but
it came out the same year as. Or within a year of another movie you hate but I love, The Bad So Bad It's Good Meteor, with Sean Connery.
Also known as the Flying Burnt Chicken McNugget of
Doom. You
Doom.
realize they got an Oscar nomination for their special effects.
I don't care.
Well, I think you were being too hard. The special effects were really good for 79. And it was way better than other things that were nominated that year.
You made me watch that movie with Sean Connery in that hideous jacket, so you still owe me for that. But that's where this film belongs, because it belongs in that whole disaster movies make money. Let's see, we've done this. We'll do this one. Yeah.
Meteor bomb, too.
Tons of snow. That'll work. So that's where this gets categorized. And it's perfectly dreadful. I couldn't think of any snow jokes. I'm sorry. I ran out.
Well, you should just be careful. Your pussy might get snow all over it. Anyway.
Good night, everybody.
We'll be back with more I keep saying Catastrophe Vortex. So we're talking about this. We'll be back with more captive audience theater in the next few weeks and months ahead as these crazy quarantine days continue. Mm-hmm. We hope you've enjoyed it. We hope you'll check out these movies. As I said, Avalanche is available through Mystery Science Theater 3000, The Return on Netflix or on Shout Factory TV. And it's a fun little time waster. You can sit and scream and throw popcorn at the screen and have all kinds of fun.
Yeah.
We also have plenty of other things for you to do, including checking out all of our websites, eCinema 1, eCinema Boston, Platinum Rose's Garden, Ring Around the Rosie, Platinum Rose Roleplay, which we haven't mentioned before in the last few days, which is Kim's Roleplay channel on YouTube. And we hopefully you'll send everybody word about how much you love our show. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends when you're listening on Facebook or YouTube. And we hope that you will continue to stay in touch with Twitter. I'm at eCinema1 on Twitter. Kim is at Platinum Rose L. And you can also catch us on Instagram at PNRNetworks on Instagram.
Yep.
And on Facebook, it's Popcorn and Roses. Still, can't change it over there. Nope. So it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
For Subject Cinema Presents Captive Audience Theater, we'll be back with another show soon. I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
May your popcorn always be butter.
And may your roses always be in bloom.
TTFN.
Bye now.
You've been listening to Subject Cinema Presents Captive Audience Theater with Kim Brown and T.C. Kirkham. Produced by PNRNetworks, Boston, Massachusetts.
"15 years, blowing the doors off the competition, podcasting to planet Earth.
PNRNetworks.com